Tonight, for the first time since multiple Title IX allegations were made in lawsuits against Liberty University, we're hearing from one of the 24 women accusing the university of misconduct. Jane Doe 15 coming forward tonight after she chose not to settle with the university. Now, she says even after the traumatic attack, Liberty threatened her with expulsion. Jane Doe 15 says the school claimed she violated the so-called Liberty Way by having sex and getting pregnant before she was married. WFXR's Rianne Lowndes spoke to Jane Doe today. She joins us live in the studio tonight. Rianne, obviously a tough conversation for her to have, and it's been a long road for her as well.
Drew, that woman's name is Sarah Mays, and yes, this all began for her in 2001 when she survived a gang rape off campus and was then chased by one of her assaulters on campus. That's when she went to Liberty University for help.
They came to you for help. I went to Liberty for help.
In 2001, Sarah Mays says she was assaulted by 5 men off campus. Mays learned she was pregnant and discovered one of her attackers was stalking her. She says when he came onto Liberty's campus and chased her with a knife, she went to the school for help.
I wrote 2 reports in their office, one of which they had me come back and fabricate. They said that if I couldn't be sure what kind of knife it was, that I maybe didn't know it was a knife.
After she says she found no help at Liberty, she went to the Lynchburg police. Instead, May says the investigator interrogated her, threatening to arrest her if she didn't say she was lying. May says when he put handcuffs on her, she did.
Says, state your name and tell me you lied. I did, and he let me go.
Mays was 18, pregnant, and traumatized. She went to Liberty's Dean of Women's office.
They were going to expel me. They gave me, she said I had options, that I could always go through the Liberty Godparent home, give up my baby, and they would give me a 4-year scholarship.
Mays kept her baby, and Liberty never followed through with that expulsion. But 20 years later, she says she learned of a lawsuit against Liberty where all the women's experiences sounded a lot like her own. Mays and the others proposing policy changes. Mays says she was told she'd get a settlement of between $5 and $7.5 million. But when she went in for those financial negotiations, the mediator wanted her and the other women to retell their traumatic experiences.
I now have to give intimate details of my life to this man that I just met 20 minutes ago. I immediately left the room. I was crying. My nose started bleeding. But, you know, Liberty definitely released a psychological warfare to traumatize and to make every single girl have to relive their trauma right before going into a financial negotiation with them. So at that point, it became clear to me that this was not a settlement.
May says Liberty offered her $5,000.
Shredded, traumatized, and, you know, they took zero accountability.
And that's when she walked.
They used all of our trauma against us.
She was one of 2 who didn't take the deal and says she stays in touch with the women who did. She says they tell her now they wish they hadn't settled. Now, Mays and the other Jane Doe who didn't settle have started an initiative called No Change Until. They're welcoming anyone with stories of Title IX misconduct involving Liberty University to find support and stand with them. You can find more information about that group in this story on our website, WFXRTV.com. Live in studio, WFXR News.